Welcome to Literary and Jury Charge Practice. Let's start out with some literary, and this is one we had started before called On Location with Hawaii 5-0. We'll finish this up. Ready? Here we go. Hawaii or not. For many filmmakers, Hawaii's beauty is enhanced by its versatility. On Hawaii 5-0 alone, spots across Oahu have stood in for parts of the United States, other countries, and even past eras. The 5-0 team has created Captain Grover's old Chicago neighborhood just blocks from Diamond Head and transformed a Honolulu home into an East Coast residence using specific greenery from the show's sizable plant nursery. In Season 4, Episode 10, they spent a week recreating the World War II-era Honolulu International internment camp, only to dismantle it 2 days later. And when the script calls for something Hawaii lacks, like a foundry for Season 4, Episode 15, they draw from Chin's local knowledge and everyone's contacts and creativity to affect what the show needs. Our job is to do what they write, says Neely. We just have to make it happen, whether shipping in materials. No prop house exists in Hawaii. Building necessary sets, shooting exteriors and interiors in different spots, shutting down Oahu's H3 freeway, or just working film magic when accuracy isn't possible. When we're in the middle of the jungle and guys are hacking through with machetes, the cameras might be on a paved road right next to them, says Neely, while other times the crew goes deep into a valley and films with one actor and camera, if that's what it takes. We try to show the island in a good light, says Downer. When it's below freezing in the middle of winter everywhere else, we want people to come to our show and get warm for an hour. All right. Now we'll try some jury charge practice. Ready? Here we go. As I have stated, if you find that Ms. Bovang has established by a preponderance of the evidence that New York Global Group and FNL Media constitute a single employer under this test, FNL Media is liable under the New York City human rights law for any retaliation attributable to New York Global Group, and New York Global Group is liable for any retaliation attributable to FNL Media. If you find that Ms. Bovang has proved all the elements of her retaliation claim under the city human rights law, you must then decide whether the defendant you are considering has proved by a preponderance of the evidence that the action taken against Ms. Bovang would have been taken on the basis of non-retaliatory reasons alone. The defendants here claim that any action taken against Ms. Bovang that was reasonably likely to deter a person from engaging in protected activity was taken for a non-retaliatory reason. In deciding whether the defendant you are considering has satisfied his or her burden on this issue, follow these steps. Consider whether the defendant has proved that the decision to take an action against Ms. Bovang that was reasonably likely to deter a person from engaging in protected activity was motivated by a non-retaliatory reason in addition to a retaliatory motive. If you find that the defendant you are considering was not motivated by any non-retaliatory reason, you must find for Ms. Bovang. If, however, you find that the defendant had non-retaliatory reasons for his or its action, you must determine whether the defendant has proved that he or it would have taken this action against Ms. Bovang based upon these non-retaliatory reasons alone. If you find that the defendant has not proved that non-retaliatory reasons would have provided an independent basis for taking the action against Ms. Bovang, then you must find for Ms. Bovang. Conversely, if you find that the defendant has proved that it would have taken the action against Ms. Bovang based only on non-retaliatory reasons, then you must find for the defendant. Ms. Bovang has brought a claim for assault against Mr. Way. An assault is the intentional placing of another person in apprehension of imminent harmful or offensive contact. Ms. Bovang must prove by a preponderance of the evidence that Mr. Way intentionally took actions that put her in fear that he was about to engage in bodily conduct harmful or offensive to her. In order to commit an assault, Mr. Way must have had the real or apparent ability to bring about the harmful or offensive bodily contact. Ordinarily, threatening words without some action are not enough to constitute an assault. There must be some menacing act or gesture that causes the plaintiff to believe that a harmful or offensive bodily contact is about to occur. It is not necessary that any contact actually occur. I use the word intentionally in defining an assault. Intent involves the state of mind with which an act is done. If a person acts voluntarily with a desire to bring about a result, he is said to have intended that result. Ms. Bovang has also brought a claim for battery against Mr. Way. A person who intentionally touches another person without that person's consent and thereby causes an offensive bodily contact commits battery. As I have explained several times, intent involves the state of mind with which an act is done. As to battery, a plaintiff must prove that the defendant had the intent to cause a bodily contact that a reasonable person would find offensive. An offensive bodily contact is one that is done for the purpose of harming another, or one that offends a reasonable sense of personal dignity, or one that is otherwise wrongful. Ms. Bovang has brought a claim for defamation against all defendants. Defamation is a communication that tends to expose the plaintiff to public hatred, contempt, ridicule, or disgrace. Here, Ms. Bovang claims that the defendants are liable for defamation based on statements in the Blot magazine that 1. Allege she has committed serious crimes, 2. Tend to injure Ms. Bovang in her trade, business, or profession, and 3. Impute unchastity to Ms. Bovang. To recover damages for defamation, Ms. Bovang has the burden of proving by a preponderance of the evidence 6 elements as to each allegedly defamatory statement. First, as to each statement, Ms. Bovang must prove that the statement was defamatory. In this case, in order to prove that a statement is defamatory, you must find that the statement falls into one of the 3 following categories. First, a statement is defamatory if it accuses Ms. Bovang of a serious crime. The following crimes are considered serious crimes: extortion, blackmail, visa fraud, and selling illegal drugs. Prostitution, stalking, and mere possession or use of illegal drugs were not serious crimes. Statements that accuse Ms. Bovang of extortion do not constitute defamation if it is clear from context that the statement refers to a lawsuit or threatened lawsuit. A statement is also defamatory if it tends to injure Ms. Bovang in her trade, business, or profession. For the purposes of this case, Ms. Bovang's trade, business, or profession is marketing. To find that a statement falls within this defamation category, you must find that the statement communicates a general unfitness, incapacity, or an inability on Ms. Bovang's part to perform her duties at work. A general reflection upon Ms. Bovang's character or qualities is not sufficient. Rather, the statement must reflect on Ms. Bovang's work performance and be incompatible with the proper conduct of her business. A statement is also defamatory if it imputes unchastity to a woman. For example, statements that refer to a woman as a prostitute impute unchastity to that woman. If you find that the statement at issue 1 alleges that Ms. Bovang committed a serious crime, 2 tends to injure Ms. Bovang in her trade, business, or profession, or 3 imputes unchastity to Ms. Bovang, then you must consider the second element of the defamation claim. If you find that the statement at issue does not fall into any of these 3 categories, then you need not proceed further with respect to that statement, and you must find for defendants with respect to that statement. The second element of Ms. Bovang's defamation claim is that the statement be of and concerning Ms. Bovang. That is, Ms. Bovang must prove that the statement was communicated to third persons who reasonably would have understood the statement to refer to her. If you find that the statement would be understood by a reasonable reader to refer to Ms. Bovang, then you must consider the remaining elements of Ms. Bovang's defamation claim. If you find that the statement would not be understood by reasonable readers to refer to Ms. Bovang, then you need not proceed further with respect to that statement, and you must find for defendants with respect to that statement. The third element of Ms. Bovang's defamation claim is that the defendant you are considering published the statement, meaning that the defendant communicated the statement to someone other than Ms. Bovang. In determining whether a defendant published the statement, you must determine whether Ms. Bovang proved by a preponderance of the evidence that the defendant participated in the preparation, creation, editing, or publication of the statement at issue. If you find that a defendant participated in the preparation, creation, editing, or publication of the statement, you will find that the defendant published the statement. An individual's role as editor or publisher of a publication does not necessarily mean that the individual published a particular statement. For example, if you find that Mr. Way was an editor or publisher of the Blot magazine, but you do not find that he participated in the preparation, creation, editing, or publication of the statement at issue, you cannot find that Mr. Way published that statement. As I stated above, you must find that the defendant you are considering had an affirmative role in the preparation or editing of the statement at issue in order to find that the defendant published the statement. If you find that F&L Media of New York or New York Global Group did not publish the statement, but that an employee of F&L Media or New York Global Group published the statement, F&L Media or New York Global Group may be held responsible for that statement if one of their employees published the statement in the course of performing his or her employment duties. All right, we'll stop there. Take a little break. And we'll try some literary practice. Let's try another short one. Called Rock and Roll. Ready? Here we go. Unless you're talking about Southern California's notorious potholes, referring to anything as the mini Grand Canyon is pretty much setting up people for disappointment. That said, Limestone Canyon Nature Preserve in Silverado lives up to its nickname, part of a 40,000-acre protected space known as the Irvine Ranch National Landmarks. The 5,500-acre Limestone Canyon is home to the Sinks, a geologic formation that resembles the Grand Canyon, but small. If you're the kind of person who thinks physical exertion should be rewarded, the view at the end of this hike will undoubtedly satisfy. Because of the ecologically sensitive nature of the area, you'll have to be accompanied by a guide. Sign up online for a guided 2 views of the Sinks hike, a 9.5-mile journey that offers views from Limestone Ridge. Note, this particular hike fills up quickly, so plan ahead. Beginner and intermediate level guided mountain bike hikes, available a few times a month, almost always have room. Pack a camera and a sufficient store of awe. A sufficient store of awe, A-W-E. Let's try, actually, let's see what else we have in the way of some more literary material. This is called Pasadena Playhouse District. Ready? Here we go. Some travel guides and websites limit their coverage of Pasadena to the Tournament of Roses or to Old Pasadena, the city's lively downtown. However, the Playhouse District offers drama that extends well beyond the stage of its historic Pasadena Playhouse. A couple of drive-worthy museums are located here, as well as additional performing arts venues and a cinema complex specializing in foreign and indie flicks. Foodies explore menus that crisscross international borders, and architecture bucks are transfixed by historical facades. The district also benefits from a vibrant residential community fueled by millennials looking for a high-energy environment and families willing to trade picket fences for arts and culture. The Pasadena Playhouse, designated the official state theater of California, the Playhouse combines big city sophistication with small-town charm. Classic musicals and avant-garde dramas, often featuring top Hollywood talent, are booked at the Spanish Mission-style landmark. The Ice House, since 1960, almost every major in stand-up comedy, George Carlin, Steve Martin, Lily Tomlin, and Jerry Seinfeld, to name a few, have appeared at the intimate down-to-earth club. Vroman's bookstore, a community presence since 1894. Vroman's is a testament to the enduring attraction of the independent bookseller. Sophisticated home accessories and custom stationery complement the store's book selection. USC Pacific Asia Museum, easy to spot by its pagoda-style roof, the museum occupies a Qing Dynasty-inspired mansion. View art from every corner of the Pacific Rim in the galleries and tranquil, shaded garden. Canterbury Records, the old-fashioned record shop, offers a treasure trove of vintage vinyl, Coltrane to Cash, Presley to Pavarotti, as well as current releases. Pasadena Museum of California Art, dedicated to showing California artists, the museum entertains with a collection that skews edgy. Red, White, and Blues, located next to the Pasadena Playhouse. This restaurant is ideal for a pre-theater gourmet burger or short ribs with charred asparagus. It's also a noteworthy jazz venue with a full calendar of talent, best enjoyed with a glass of vino. Europane Bakery, arguably one of SoCal's best bakeries. Europane specializes in flaky croissants, Paris-style macaroons, and fresh baguettes, plus an egg salad sandwich that has earned a national reputation. Maison Akira, for an elegant occasion, consider the refined Japanese French cuisine of this longtime standout, where sashimi and foie gras share a menu. All right. Well, now we'll get back to some jury charge. Ready? Here we go. To determine whether an employee made the statement within the scope of his or her employment, you must consider the following factors. 1. Whether the employee's act of making the statement fell within the discretion and control of the employer. 2. Whether the employee made the statement under the express or implied authority of the employer. 3. Whether the employee's act of making the statement was in furtherance of the employer's interests. 4. Whether the employee was discharging his duty to the employer by making the statement. 5. Whether the act of making the statement was part of the work assigned by the employer. And 6. Whether the act of making the statement was so closely connected with what the employee was hired to do that it may be regarded as a method, even though an improper one, of carrying out the objectives of the employment. If you find that an employee made the statement for wholly personal reasons unrelated to his or her job, the employer is not responsible for that statement. However, even if an employee makes a statement for a wrongful purpose or with partially personal motives, the employer is liable if the employee made that statement to further the interests of the employer or as part of the work assigned by that employer. If you find that plaintiff has proven by a preponderance of the evidence that an employee of New York Global Group made a defamatory statement in the scope of his or her employment with New York Global Group, you will find that New York Global Group published that statement, and you will proceed to consider the other elements of Ms. Boveng's defamation claim. Likewise, if you find that plaintiff has proven by a preponderance of the evidence that an employee of FNL Media made a defamatory statement in the scope of his or her employment with FNL Media, you will find that FNL Media published that statement, and you will proceed to consider the other elements of Ms. Boveng's defamation claim. However, if you find that the defendant you are considering did not publish the defamatory statement at issue, then you need not proceed further with respect to that statement, and you will find for that defendant as to that statement. The fourth element of Ms. Boving's defamation claim is that the statement at issue was false. A statement is false if it is not substantially true. Minor inaccuracies in the statement may be disregarded in determining whether a statement is false. You will determine from the evidence presented what the truth was and then compare that with the statement at issue, considering that statement according to the ordinary meaning of the words. If you find that the statement is false, then you will proceed to consider the other elements of Ms. Boving's defamation claim with respect to that statement. If you find that the statement was true, then you will not proceed further with respect to that statement, and you will find for defendants with respect to that statement. All right, that will conclude our literary and jury charge practice.